hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Lions Den podcast here on a Thursday night. As you guys know, there was a Monday Night Futbol with Leon being the last game of that Jornada. So we're here to talk about everything that happened in that game. I'm sure we have plenty to talk about. And looking ahead at next Monday night, because we do have back to back Monday night games. So definitely talk about that. For everybody watching us via YouTube and Periscope on Twitter, hello. Thank you for jumping on and joining us in this podcast. Everything Club Leon in English. If you guys have any comments, anything you guys want to talk about, Club Leon related, please let us know in the comments, and we'll definitely share your comments on the air. Carlos and Louis, how are we feeling tonight after Leon's first Jornada match?
It's a bad loss. I'm sorry. That's a bad loss. It's not a particularly devastating one. Might not even be a particularly meaningful one, but in a vacuum, that is a bad loss. It's taking it all taking everything into consideration. That's a bad loss, and I mean, I'm over it now in the grand scheme of things. But I mean, as long as we're talking about it, I'm going to call it like it is. That was a bad loss. That was a bad loss. Can't happen. I mean, cannot happen. You cannot be. I mean, you cannot let superior play be overshadowed by just sloppy mistakes. And it's happened 2 games in a row at home against Chivas. And that just cannot happen against that team. It cannot happen. There's never a context that makes a loss at home to that team okay. And yeah, it's a bad loss. It's a bad loss. Anytime you lose in the opening game of a new season after coming off a very, very important title win, you might say it's fine. It's cool because it brings us back down to earth. It gives us a quick and brutal reminder that, okay, party's over. There's work to be done. And under normal circumstances, that'd be fine. It's just against this opponent, I can't stomach it. It's not okay. It's a bad loss. It's a bad loss. Even if it were against a bad team like, I don't know, like Mazatlan or something, I'd have been better. I'd have been better off with that mentally. Just against this opponent, especially the final hangover that they were coming off of too. We really needed to come out on top in this one, and we just didn't do it. And so hopefully this was their one freebie. This was the wake-up call, and I expect more actively going for results that reflect the superiority of play on the pitch going forward. That's all I really have to say about it.
Yeah, this was one of those games that got away from us. Obviously, we were the superior team on the pitch through 90. I don't remember a span of time where Chivas was dominating throughout the game. It was all Leon. Everything was not going in. Everything was going wide, or everything was coming off the post. Barreiro missed a clear one. I mean, this guy was wide open, and he hits it off the post. I don't know if he was surprised he was so open and he lost concentration, but it just didn't go in. That should have been the 1-0. Davila had a couple of chances. You can't say we didn't generate chances. We had 28 shots, 8 shots on goal, and only 1 went in. And it wasn't like Chivas goalkeeper was spectacular in this game either. Yeah, he had a few stops, but it was mostly our fault that we weren't up in that game, and it was our fault that we didn't win the game. There's a lot of good takeaways, a lot of good positives from this. Doesn't look like the team isn't working out. It looks like the team works to the idea that Larcamón wants to play. It looks like the championship team that just won the CCL, but things just didn't go our way. And it was lack of concentration. I'm telling you, the last 15 minutes, it looked like we really wanted, it looked like the team said, you know what, let's stop playing like losers and just let's put the pedal to the metal. And the last 15 minutes, we generated so many chances. I don't know. I feel like the team just kind of put it on neutral for the first 75 minutes. And then the last 15 minutes, it was like, let's go all out and let's try to win this because we know we're superior to Chivas.
Yeah, my bigger takeaway is the first 75, not the last 15. And I said to you guys in the chat, I mean, we got bitten a little bit by an old bug that's existed even since like the latter stages of the Nacho Ambriz era, where we only really, really play hard in a regular season game, a partido cualquiera like this one. We only really, really play hard when we're losing, when our backs are against the wall, when there's adversity. If there's no adversity, we have no motivation to play hard. They've been better about it under Larcamón, but last night we saw a little bit of that. We saw a little bit about that. It was frustrating. They haven't completely exorcised that demon from their psyche, and that cannot happen again. That can't happen going forward.
Yeah, I think obviously Chivas was coming out of losing a final, so obviously they were trying to, get their Jornada Uno and kind of make a statement. Obviously, we were coming out of being CCL champs. I totally agree. I think the last 15 drove me crazy because I'm like, why didn't you guys do this like the whole game? I think especially last season, we definitely talked about how Leon would create so many opportunities, so much chances, but no las metíamos, and at the end ended up costing us a game. The other team would get lucky somehow. So it was a bit frustrating. That the last 15, they were like all over them, and even then we couldn't get it in, which was insane. Obviously, there's the VAR aspect, which is just annoying. Like, why does it always have to play a factor in these games? And I think what frustrated me is that, and I obviously I predicted a win because I think, like we talked about in the past, whenever we would meet against this rival Chivas, it would always be like at the worst moment. We would always like be between like doble jornada and working 2 tournaments. So I was like, okay, this is the opportunity. First game, like we could totally beat them and move on. And seeing the result went the other way was kind of frustrating.
Well, I mean, everything went to script except for the result. I mean, I agree with you, Carlos. I mean, one big positive takeaway is that the team doesn't look like they're going to need a ton of. It's not going to take like. There's going to be anybody saying, "Oh, wait till jornada 6 or 7." That's when it's really going to come together. I mean, it doesn't really look like that's going to be necessary for this version of the team. They pretty much look like they're ready to go now. Like, I mean, I fully expect them to look like they're in mid-season form next week against Pachuca. Although those Pachuca games are always weird. I'm sure we'll get into that later. But yeah, they don't look like a team that's going to need some time to sort it out like they often do, or like teams often do starting out a Liga MX season, where they're like, no, you got to wait like 5 or 6 jornadas. That's when teams really start playing like teams are going to play. No, I think this team's going to play like this team's going to play now. I mean, we already kind of saw some of it. And I can't remember a Jornada Uno where we've really seen that. And, I mean, it makes sense. This is basically the same team minus a couple of players and a couple of very minor changes, but this is basically the same team that won the title a few weeks ago. And before winning that title a few weeks ago, they'd already had a big layoff. So it's not like this team has had a ton of activity. It's, yes, they had a short off season, but they already had almost an entire off season before they played that final. So, I mean, we shouldn't be concerned about their tired legs or fitness or anything. I mean, this is a team we expect to see them be on form, and they pretty much look like the same team. The results just kind of got away from them. And, there's things you can point to about that. But I think what you were suggesting, Carlos, one big positive is that, they basically looked like León. They looked like León for most of that game. And I don't expect that I don't see any reason why that would drop off going forward.
Yeah. So we have the lineup. Carlos, you want to give us the lineup?
Yeah, I mean, it looks pretty familiar. Cota, Moreno, Barreiro, Frias, Tecillo filling in that left back as we all wanted.
I've been praying for so long.
We've been praying for a long time. No more Osby, I hope, for quite a while. Maybe until Leagues Cup.
Yeah.
Romero Angulo surprisingly started, to my surprise. Davila with the new number 10. He's taking over the new number 10. Big shoes to fill. He didn't look like a number 10, but like we said, it's the first week. Let's see what he can do for the rest of the season.
He's taking over the number 10 jersey number. He's not taking over the number 10 role. That he's not a number 10 player.
Well, that number comes with a big responsibility.
That's what I was gonna say. Even though yes, he's not filling for the 10 role, I just think he should have not gotten 10 and left it open to someone who would actually own up to that role.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he's making a big statement. He's making a big statement that, this is a changing of the guard. This is a new era. He's the face of the franchise now. And I respect him for wanting to take on that role. But I mean, it is big shoes to fill. I'm not saying it isn't.
And finally, rounding off the starting 11, Mena and Elias Hernandez on the wings, and Plátano Alvarado, who had the only goal for León on Monday night. No surprises, really. I mean, maybe Angulo.
Angulo was a surprise.
Angulo is an enormous surprise. I think everybody expected Jefecito to play there.
Yeah.
And Jefecito probably should have played there.
Yeah.
To be honest, because we needed a little bit more recuperación, a little bit more stability in the midfield, because Chivas, to their credit, they loaded up on their midfield, which is their strength, and completely killed us on the counter. That was their one way to beat us, and that's what they did. And Angulo, was the only way he could have helped combat that was by showing his offensive capabilities, and he hasn't done that even once since he's been a part of this team, and I'm starting to think he never will. So yeah, that was a major surprise for me, and I hope that experiment gets shelved for a while. If I'm being quite honest with you guys, I hope once Borja is ready to go, and Viñas, some combination of them will make.
When Fidel is back.
When Fidel is back, of course, a bad time to be without Fidel, and I don't think we'll have him this weekend against Pachuca either, or this coming Monday against Pachuca. Well, actually, maybe we will. I don't know. I'm not exactly sure how that whole thing with the Caribbean games are going and when his last commitment there is, but I don't know. Something tells me we won't have him on Monday either. Bad moment
the
to be
final
without
today.
him. Was it?
I think the final match is today. I think I saw the official account tweet that today is the final.
Okay, well then maybe we will have him. Maybe we will. That would be a major boon to have Fidel back, because I'm just thinking about having him. Had he played instead of Angulo, what a different match that might have been.
Yeah, it's actually about to start in the next hour. Fidel Ambris is starting. So
okay,
if you guys want to catch that after the podcast.
I did not realize that. I haven't been paying attention. All I care about with that is that he doesn't get hurt. Honestly,
that'll be good.
Anybody that would have been either Fidel or Jefecito definitely would have been better than Angulo. Sure.
Honestly,
or even Borja. We know nothing about this guy, and I think he'd be better. Yeah.
Honestly, I think Angulo was more of a tactical starter, because he knows 90% of the other team. He knows how they play. He's played squads with them when he played over there just a season ago. So maybe this is Larcamon's way of tactically trying to have an advantage on Chivas.
It makes sense. I just don't think it did. It didn't work.
It didn't work.
It didn't work, but probably that's what he was thinking.
He would do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That might have been part of his thought process, but it definitely didn't work out for him, and I hope we don't see it again. That's all I can really say.
So I know that obviously it was reported obviously that Viñas wasn't going to be available for this game. I'm not sure exactly when that is available, because obviously they're bad at telling us anything in regards to the club. But honestly, I really hope to continue to see Plátano start and for Viñas to be kind of like a super sub, because I feel like Plátano se lo ha ganado in yesterday. I mean, he's just a very fun player to watch. And
What do you guys keep saying yesterday? It was like Monday.
I know. Yeah, for real. Louis said yesterday. Maybe that's why I got caught.
Louis said yesterday. I was like, yesterday.
Yeah. Monday. Sorry.
Monday. Yesterday, Monday.
You guys know
it's in the recent. Yeah. It's in the recent past. It doesn't matter exactly when.
Yeah, because I caught Louis saying yesterday, and I'm like, it was Monday, but I was like, and then I said the same thing. But no, I just hope Plátano continues to start, porque se lo ha ganado, and if Viñas, whenever he's fit, if he can be that super sub and kind of shows what he has in him. In the chat, Todd said, "Hey guys."
Hey Todd.
it takes a couple of matches after winning a title to get grounded. Is what he said.
That's true. I mean, these guys were on cloud nine like a couple of weeks ago, so maybe they feel.
It's true, but in this case they had everything they needed to easily win this game, and it just didn't do it. It got away from them.
It got away from them. Shout out to Arturo also in the chat. Arturo Ruiz said 2 weeks, no preseason. Chivas played some good defense. On to the next. Larcamon did bad subs starting Canelo Angulo. Lots of things went wrong, is what he says.
I agree with all that, except for I'm not going to use the no preseason as for reasons I already stated. I'm not going to use that no preseason thing as an excuse. I don't think that's valid.
No, and I agree with you, Luke. At the end of the day, it's the same players. It's literally the same players. I mean, no difference, but number changes at this point.
Maybe that was the problem. Maybe they just they're so used to seeing Davila wear number 7. I mean, and honestly, I'm going to be honest with you guys. From afar, some of these guys look really similar. Like for like sitting in the stands, it's when you're sitting 20 rows up in the stadium, it is very hard to tell the difference between Davila, Platano, and Ivan Moreno. And two of Ivan Moreno is using Davila's old number, and Davila's using a new number, and so I'm just throwing that out there. When you're watching the game live and you're 20 rows up, it can get a little confusing. I mean, you know what sectors of the field they're supposed to be playing in, so that helps. But still, they're all about the same height, they're the same build. They all have dark hair. It's a little hard to tell them apart from afar. I'm just throwing it out there. Keep the same numbers, guys. You're killing me out here. You're making me confused.
I mean, I'm enjoying. I mean, obviously 7's my favorite number, so I really enjoyed seeing Ivan. I was like, Ivan has number 7. I'm like, that's awesome. Yeah. And then coincidentally, my first last name is Moreno, so I'm like, I could get that jersey. That's my favorite number. And it has Moreno. Perfect. Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was.
You could have already, even though it was number 3, or you could have gotten a Yairo jersey. You had.
I don't want number 3. Number 3 seems bad luck. No sé. No me gusta el 3 y 5. I just don't like.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of glad to see that the former number of Club Leon legend Gil Buron, Gil Killer, was freed up, and no one is currently using it. I think that's only fair.
Gil Killer.
You know what's interesting is on the TUDN broadcast, Romo was making a really good case for why they should have retired number 10 for Luis Montes. He's like, this guy's been with the club since El Ascenso. He won multiple titles. You should put some respect on this guy's number and his name and retire it instead of giving it to Davila. And I was like, man,
no, I don't agree with that.
Sense. No, really.
Maybe for me not retiring it, but maybe just ban it for a couple of years as a sign of respect. Kind of.
I don't think you can really retire a number in soccer. You
cannot, not retire it, but ban it, internally ban it for a season.
No, I'm fine with that. But to go back to refute Israel Romo, friend of the show, even if he doesn't listen regularly, he's a spiritual friend of the show, spiritual friend of mine. But I don't agree with that take. You cannot. I mean, yes, you can retire it you can keep it out of circulation for a season or two. But they're not even going to retire that number in Barcelona. They haven't. They don't. I don't think they have it retired in Napoli. I'm not sure. But you can't. So few numbers are regularly used in soccer. This isn't football, and this isn't basketball, where players are using numbers in the 90s. People don't. You don't really do that unless you're like a juvenil who uses a 3-digit number or something like that. You don't. I mean, also the numbers have traditional significance in terms of what sector you're playing on the field in soccer, more than maybe in any other game. The numbers are. The numbers in soccer are bigger than any one player who uses them. That is my opinion, and I don't think they should be retired for any reason ever.
Good point. Do you guys think at any point Luis Montes might come back? No. I'm not asking if you guys want him to. Do you think he'll come back maybe to retire, maybe a last game? Maybe he'll sign a 1-day contract.
Oh yeah, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. Yes, but for a full season, no. I think it was clear that that was like the chapter has been closed on like his continuity for so many seasons. So I
Yeah,
can
they
see
gave
what
him
you
his
said, like
farewell.
a 1 day contract or a last game kind of thing, like before he officially retires. I can see that, but other than that, I don't see that.
Good.
Arturo said that you buying that Miami Heat jersey, Louis.
No.
Straight up, just no.
I'm gonna go on a profanity laced rant if we talk any more about that.
Okay,
So
let's move on.
no.
Shout out to Angel Delgado joining the conversation. Said Fidel for number 10, in my opinion.
Too young. He's too young for that. I think like I said about Davila. I mean, Davila still got big shoes to fill. Fidel, he might not be here after next year. Maybe after this season. So
yeah.
I don't know.
And then if he said, "I'm sorry, Louis."
No, it's fine. I will say one thing. I'm a big proponent of teams over players. No player in any sport on any team is bigger than the franchise. And you know, we've gone through that a number of times with Leon over the years, where people have thought they were bigger than them. Speaking of Luis Montes, we can speak well of him now because he's gone. But I mean, towards the end of that run there, I think he thought he was bigger than the franchise, and no one is bigger than the franchise. I support a team. We have teams these are team sports for a reason. Teams represent places for a reason. And no, I'm not one of those NBA fanboys who follows players wherever they go. I'm a fan of my team, and my team is bigger than any one player. I was a fan of the Blazers long before Damian Lillard ever played for it. I'll be a fan of them long after he's gone, retired. So yeah, and it applies to, just to bring it back around to Leon, talking about Luis Montes. I think those two guys are a very good comparison to one another. They're like Luis Montes thought he was bigger than the club. The club showed him that he isn't, and it worked out better for everybody. And I expect the same thing for the Blazers and Lillard.
It's just a matter of time for Luis Montes. I felt like we were trying to let him go for a while until it finally happened. Not in a bad way, but I feel like we've said, it was just a matter of time of closing chapters. Let's see. Just looking through kind of what happened. We did see Jefecito make a comeback, as well as Avion. So that's good, especially after their poor Avion, after his back-to-back like long injury recoveries. He's finally back. And obviously, we had mentioned of Jefecito how well he was pairing up with Perro last season, and it kind of was a bit unfortunate.
The thing about Avion is, like, the club had a chance to sell him to Toluca. I think Toluca was knocking on the door, and they chose not to sell him. So they're obviously hoping he can return to what he was when he was with Nacho Ambriz. And I'm hoping that too. But he looked a little bit chunky.
He looked heavy. Yes. Heavy, huh? I saw it, and I was like, I know he's been back, but he just looks like thick.
I think he needs to start sprinting a little more.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think more notable than either of those two was Omar Fernandez, because his future is completely up in the air. And he didn't play very many minutes, but I thought he played very, very good minutes. I thought anytime he was near the ball, he was involved in the play. He had one really nice looking shot from distance. That was obviously, it was an easy save in the end. But the guy looked like, I mean, if he's going to stay, that he's going to try to fight for a role. And he was one of the bright spots for me in that game, of which there were not that many, but he was one of them. The return of Avion especially was. I mean, hopefully he can be a contributor going forward, and then of course Elias Hernandez's game was the biggest bright spot for me.
Just so
we talked about Luis Montes, not the very, very last couple seasons, but just before that, when he was still an aging player, but we were saying he aged like wine. And I mean, I guess you could say the same about Elias. I mean, when he first came back, people were really skeptical about what he could do, and he's had a little bit of he's been an up and down return to Leon. What is this? His fourth? Is this his fourth season back already? Something like that.
Something like that.
And fourth or fifth even, and it's kind of been up and down for him in his second stint with Leon. But man, down the stretch last season, and obviously to start out this one, Elias Hernandez is another one who's aging like wine, el patrullero.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
back to Omar Fernandez.
mm-hmm.
I think he came in trying to prove something, right? Like he came in trying to prove that he wants a spot on this roster, and then he doesn't want to leave. I don't know. I haven't heard like who wants him to leave, whether it's Larcamón, whether it's him that wants to leave, whether it's La Directiva. I don't know who wants him to leave, but I think him personally, he wants to stay. So, and I can't find a reason for why Larcamón wouldn't want him. I mean, that's one of his most trusted players. So who is it that wants him out, or who's like que lo está poniendo fuera?
I mean, unless they have like another NFM refuerzo contemplado, like that'd be the only reason. If you think you can get an NFM refuerzo who's better than Omar, well, I mean, you only have so many NFM slots. Somebody's got to go, and of the NFM players remaining, Omar is probably the easiest to jettison. That would really be the only thing. The other thing would be like if you think you can convince Colombato to stay, even though his preference is not to stay. He was in, as you mentioned at the beginning of the show, Cuddy, he was in the stands. Obviously, he reported to León at least to train for a little while and to cumplir con los términos of his contract. But if you think you can convince him to stay, I would rather have Colombato on my roster than Omar. As much as I like Omar and I think he has promise, I would prefer to have Colombato. So if you think you can convince him to stay, that would be a reason to jettison Omar. But barring those two scenarios, I mean, he's on your books. He clearly wants to contribute. I mean, give him a shot to do so.
Yeah. I guess Omar on the chat had said Omar Fernandez only has till Tigres game. Only has game after Tigres to switch teams. If not, he has to stay with León. When do we play Tigres?
Well, to switch teams within Liga MX. He can go to any other league that still has a transfer window open.
So he has a week. Yeah, July 15th.
And then we play that Saturday, right? We play Monday, then we play Saturday.
We play Monday and then we play Saturday at Tigres. Yes.
Do you guys know what's up with the schedule? Why the Mazatlán and San Luis were postponed?
Because the tail end of the Leagues Cup is still kind of TBD. Like they don't even know what the venues are going to be for like the knockout stages and stuff like that. So like the resuming of the Liga MX season coming out of the Leagues Cup is still kind of TBD because even the end of the Leagues Cup is still kind of TBD. And I think depending on like which teams are still in Leagues Cup and which teams have already been eliminated, like if there's a whole bundle of Liga MX teams that are already eliminated, let's say León and Mazatlán are both already eliminated, maybe they could play earlier. Maybe they could play a few Liga MX matches earlier so they don't have to do so many doble jornadas later on. I think that is my theory about it. I haven't heard anything concrete, but that's my theory. They want to keep like the options open for like which teams are eliminated, which teams are still playing in Leagues Cup to like maybe ease back into the Liga MX season. That's my theory.
Interesting. Yeah, like Louis had mentioned, Colombato technically forced to come back. He was spotted at the game. They asked him any comments. He said he can't talk, just waved at the camera. I don't think he wants to stay, but he might get stuck in a situation like Celestine where he just doesn't know when he's going to leave. I mean, Celestine kept, training. Where he was in Portugal, they didn't act on his option to buy, so he had no choice to come back. Obviously, I think his goal is still Europe, but I think if they didn't want him, like who else would want him? Not in a bad way, but I think he's just hasn't had the best of luck ever since leaving. I think he had it good in Leon. He had it good. I don't know why he wanted to leave the way he did.
I mean, Colombato will have suitors. I don't think that's the issue. But you're saying they might not be the suitors he has
wants
in mind. But unlike Celestine, I mean, if he wants to stay in Leon and contribute, the team wants him there. I mean, Larcamón went on record saying that he had him contemplado. Like, he very clearly did not have Julian Celestine contemplado. Like, Julian Celestine was just kind of, there. Seems like a good guy. I don't want to talk ill about Celestine. The whole time he was a good sport about everything, and the guys seemed to get along with him. And even though he wasn't really part of the team, he seemed to really enjoy being part of the vestidor and being part of La Esmeralda, at least. So, nothing but good words about Celestine. But Colombato, a diferencia de Celestine, like, if he wants to stay, he's got a role. He's got a role in this club. Imagine if we had him to play instead of Jesus Angulo. I know I said I would have taken anybody over Angulo in that game, but really, think about Colombato in that same role. That would have been a different game. I really think it would have been.
If miraculously he decides to stay. I mean, we have tough problems. I mean, we have a good problem because we have we have back, we'll have Fidel. Let's say if Colombato stays, and then with Perro. I mean, we have like all these great.
So who do you start?
I'd start Jefecito. Just move Jefecito in the spot of Angulo.
You mean like in the short term?
I mean,
you mean in the short term, Carlos? Or
no, like if you have like a midfield that's stacked with Perro, Jefecito, Fidel, and Colombato, who do you start?
Yeah, I mean, but at least you have good internal competition in that situation, and you can really start like who is showing out the most, which I would not imagine in any event would be Jesus Angulo.
No.
That's what I'm saying.
Then Borja he's an attacking midfielder, so then you have another midfielder thrown in there to the mix.
Yeah, but Colombato's more like a box to box. He's a contención with very highly developed offensive capabilities. Like he's kind of a unique kind of player. He's not a strictly an attacking midfielder. He's not strictly a contención recuperador. He kind of toes that line a little bit.
So
he's just such a versatile guy. I mean, and I loved everything about his game when he was here. And the strangest thing about it is when he was playing here, he really seemed to love being here.
Yeah.
He never gave off any impression that he wasn't happy there, that he wanted a different role or whatever. And, maybe he didn't get along with Ariel Holland because a lot of people didn't get along with Ariel Holland. But like Ariel Holland and every trace of him is long gone at this point. Like Larcamón is a completely different situation. Maybe he doesn't get along with Larcamón either. I don't know. Maybe he's just un poco especial and he has trouble getting along with people. That makes some sense because I think, maybe if that were not the case, he'd have had better stints in Europe with better clubs. I don't know. But I just, the best option for me and the reason to let Omar go would be if Colombato was willing to change his tune and stay with the team and contribute.
Well, for Arturo, from the comments, I don't think he's very content with Colombato. Says Fidel and Perro starters, Jefecito la banca, Colombato con las fuerzas básicas.
No, Arturo, you do not cut off the nose to spite the face.
Okay, moving on. Let's go through Jornada 1. As we had previously mentioned, America starting off the Liga MX season losing to Juarez. That was nice.
Yeah.
Shout out to the guys from the Eagle Eye podcast, but that was great to see America lose.
It was
by Juarez.
There were a lot of strange results in this first Jornada, which is why it's Jornada 1. Anything can happen. Strange things can happen. And honestly, just to bring it back to Leon for a second before you do the rest of the rundown of the Jornada, like I can't remember a time where Leon dominated in Jornada 1 and then went on to have a great season. Like, I remember when we won the title, or when we made it to the final in Holland's first season. I think we lost to Pachuca 4-0 in the first match or something like that.
We were
I think
so upset.
when we won the title with Ambris, and I think we drew 0-0 with Chivas in the first Jornada or something like that. Like, doing well in the Jornada Uno really doesn't mean anything in the grand scheme of things. But in the short term, it still stings to have a bad loss like that. But yeah, I just wanted to say, I mean, I watched most of this first Jornada, and there were a lot of weird results like that 0-0 Toluca Necaxa. Mazatlan and Pachuca drawing 1-1 and Mazatlan going ahead in that game. And then, of course, Lucas Di Iorio opening his account with Pachuca. But yeah, there was just a ton of strange results. Ton of strange results in this Jornada. I can't even remember the rest of them. You got them in front of you. So
the most surprising to me was Querétaro was first place after the first Jornada. So
yeah,
that's something you'll never see again.
Oh, that was that's the last game, so I'll get to that game. But yeah, the Louis mentioned Mazatlan and Pachuca drawing 1-1 with a goal of the Yorio. It was very weird seeing him in a Pachuca jersey. It's just I'm so used to seeing him in green, and then out of nowhere he's like white and blue. So I did watch the Pumas Xolos game. Pumas winning 3-2. I don't know if you guys catch that Friday night Botanero game.
I saw some of that one. Yeah,
Pretty good. San Luis 1-1 to Monterrey. Definitely
another surprising result. Another surprising result.
And San Luis had a chance to win it too. And they missed the PK.
I don't know. Monterrey, like, they never give me the impression that they're ever going to do anything. I mean, as much as they spend on their rosters, they just never give you the impression they're ever going to put it together. You know what I mean? Even when they completely,
the same feeling every season.
Even when we go up there and they destroy us 5-0, which has happened like 3 different occasions, but you just never get the impression that team is going to completely put it together and do what they need to do. Like, they're always going to finish in the top 4 in the standings, like, or maybe they'll be super líderes like 2 seasons out of 3. But they're never going to get it done.
I just think they need a, I don't know, maybe I think they need a proper coach to change their mentality. I think it's something mental wise with that team, because I definitely agree with Louis. It's like, I've never been like, oh my God, what's Monterrey going to do? I think they have great players. I think they have obviously the money to spend on whoever they want, but they just feel to fall short every season. Which, I mean, for Leon, it's like, okay, great. Like, it's one of the big ones, that's quote unquote, but
they just throw guys into the mix without thinking how they will fit together. Like, and that is so important on a soccer field. Like, when you watch a game live and you're sitting high up and you see the entire field and you see how the formation moves, like, it doesn't matter how much talent you have if the players cannot get on the same page psychologically,
Yeah.
and it seems like Monterrey never does that.
It'll be interesting how Tano's season will go with Monterrey. Tigres en Puebla drawing 1-1.
Another surprising result, and Puebla went up in that one too. Puebla took. I thought they were going to win, and then they briefly took the lead 2-0 on a goal that was eventually called back by VAR. On the one situation in offside, which I really do not agree with, estorbando la vista del portero. Like, come on, get out of here with that. That is not. You should not be called offside for that. I'm sorry.
I agree. And then Ibanez scored in the 93rd minute, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So close.
That should have been a Puebla win. And that would have been.
Yeah.
That would have been a funny result.
Atlas beating Cruz Azul 2-0. Louis had mentioned the Toluca Necaxa 0-0. Obviously, our game against Chivas 2-1. And yes, I witnessed that game, the Querétaro versus Santos game, which was so weird.
I feel like you might be witnessing.
No.
I feel like you might be witnessing a lot of tough games this season, Cody.
Yes, a lot of tough games. Was I surprised? No, but in a sense, yes, because this Querétaro team obviously didn't do that bad last season. I mean, if it wasn't for their tabla de porcentaje, they would have qualified. Obviously, they didn't qualify, and Santos did, which was kind of ironic how obviously we're in Jornada Una with that pairing of a match. And Querétaro has like a whole new team, basically. So it was surprising, but at the same time, it wasn't, just because Santos didn't play as I expected. And yeah,
Well,
Santos
their defense has just been a dumpster fire for quite some time now. I don't know.
for quite some time.
I think we need to rag on our friend Tom over here about this. I just think there's got to be something he's not doing right. Yeah.
But yeah, the team started booing at halftime. The fans started booing at halftime, and the fans started booing after the game. Which I'm there as a football fan. I'm not wearing any jersey. I'm wearing just like a regular white tee, and I'm just like laughing.
No, you're a
at,
neutral.
Like, I'm just laughing. No, but I'm laughing at like what everybody's saying, because it's like it's different when it's not your like team. You know what I mean? Like in Leon, I'm like, you join the conversation, you yell, you do whatever. And over here, I'm just I'm sitting back laughing at like what everybody else is saying. And I'm just like, when they scored like the freaking tiro libre San Beso, I was just like, that was such a good goal. Like this is
San Beso of all people, the guy's like 40.
Yeah.
No, like.
Well, it was surprising that he came to Querétaro.
Well, he already has a lot of. I mean, he played there for a long time.
Yeah.
He has a long history with that team. So
obviously,
I mean, maybe that's the team with which he felt most encariñado, and that's where he wants to finish his career. I don't know.
Maybe I need to look up how old he is, but he's probably like in his 30s. No.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's
like 30. I'm gonna say 34.
You also get to see our old friend Pedro Aquino, right?
You're right. Actually,
Yes.
He's younger than I thought he was. I thought he was older than 34, but he's 34. You got it exactly right.
Oh, cool. Yes, Carlos. I did see Aquino from afar training. Nice. It's weird. You know what I mean? I think how I feel, and I told him, I think how I feel is obviously with Leon, we all loved him. We all had our like little internal thing, because we know he was a hothead, and he would like put us at a liability on a game. But at the end of the day, I've said this: any player that goes from Leon to America, I have a period where I like ban them internally in my head that I don't like them for a while. You know what I mean?
Who went to America? I missed it.
Aquino.
Oh yeah, but he's I see. Because he's with Santos now. I see.
Yeah. So now that he's with another team, I'm like, oh hey Aquino, what's up? Like your punishment has been over for me.
I think that moratorium, we could call it, goes away as soon as they change teams again.
Yeah. It does. It does.
Well,
so
also,
Jornada 2, go ahead.
Just the way he went to America in the first place was, I never agree with it, and it completely did not work out for him the way he thought it would.
No, I think he cashed really good for a bit, and obviously another opportunity for him to actually play came up, and I think that's great for him. And I'm looking forward to actually seeing him play, and hopefully
he played a big role in La Octava, though, so we couldn't have won it without him. So I'll give him that. That's why to this day I'm still like, thank you. You te fuiste por la puerta grande.
Yeah. Also Arturo said, and Matosas. Yeah. So when Matosas left to America, it's like I was like talking to him on TV. I was like, look, te van a hacer la agachada. Like, you left. Like, why would you do that? And what happened? Like, they like, let's be there soon. Poor Matosas. I always love him.
I there's something about me that I'm like, when I see that guy, I'm like, I don't like this guy at all. Like,
Same.
his vibe is just like,
wait, which guy?
Leonel Lopez.
Oh, Leonel Lopez, yeah.
Even when he was with Leon, like when he would play, he would be just like such a sloppy player. No se le veían ganas. Like, I was glad when he left, because he started being good with Toluca, with Pumas, now with Xolos, and you're like seeing him shine, and it's like, why weren't you doing that with Leon? Yeah, he's low key a baller, but like now
he's on his way to Bolivia.
Oh, is that? Wait, what do you mean?
Which team?
Leonel Lopez. Did you guys not see?
No.
Didn't he just sign with Xolos?
No, let's see.
Leonel.
Leonel
Lopez.
Lopez.
A ver. Ahorita vamos a ver qué
No. Yeah, the
Cholos,
strongest.
yeah.
He's no. He signed with a Bolivian club, the strongest.
The
What?
strongest. Oh,
Yeah,
it's a day
that is-
ago. So it's just new
That's
news.
the name. The name of the team is literally the strongest in English.
That's not a great. I mean, he's 29. Why would he go over
Oh,
there?
snap. You're right.
Look, I'm with Carlos.
Yeah,
Everything Carlos says.
I'm not
that's what
crazy, right?
thought.
I did read this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he on loan?
No.
Wow. That's crazy.
I can't believe he didn't have any option. Maybe he just wanted to go on an adventure. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, I'm looking at his. I mean, he's 29. He still has time to play after if he wants. But, well, good luck at the strongest, Leo. But I'm with Carlos. Everything Carlos said, I'm totally agreeing with. Like,
Didn't I feel like Leon played against them in the Libertadores once.
I don't remember.
Maybe it was a different Bolivian club. Didn't they get eliminated by a Bolivian club in the Libertadores, one of the last ones that they played in?
no, not Bolivia. Was it
We're gonna have.
I can't remember.
Talk amongst yourselves. I'm gonna look this up real quick.
Well, yeah, Arturo said El Gallito went to Cancun FC. I was gonna mention
That is
it
a
last
nice
week,
jersey.
I forgot.
That is a nice jersey. It has 0 ads, so it is a nice jersey.
I'm just waiting for our jersey when we go. We go to.
But there was a lot of talk about Gallito coming back, which I was opposed to.
I was opposed to it.
I was opposed to it because I was like, we're not trying to get older. I would rather give Fidel and Jefecito like the chance in that midfield. Maybe for, like I said earlier about Chapo, maybe like a one-day contract to come and retire with the team because he's one of the OGs.
Yeah.
But the fact that he didn't get signed to any other first division team and he's not playing in La Liga de Expansión says a lot about where he's at in his career.
For the record, it was not the strongest. It was Bolivar.
Bolivar. Well, look, Gallito's 35. 35. Gallito Vasquez. So I don't know how. Long he's.
It was Bolivar who eliminated us from the Libertadores, not the strongest. But
Leonel Lopez went the strongest.
Leonel Lopez went to the strongest, but the team that beat us in Libertadores 2014 was Bolivar. They are rivals. They are rivals of one another in La Paz, Bolivia.
I wonder how they got that name, the strongest.
I know, it's so weird.
I don't know. It's like O'Higgins in Chile, or there's a couple in Argentina that have like Nueva Chicago in Argentina. Yeah, there's some clubs that have like weird names in English. Yeah.
Like I said, if you can bring back a former Leon player in his prime to help the Club World Cup,
Boselli,
back?
This hands down, Boselli.
Let's think about this for a second. That's the easy answer. But
or Rafa? We can bring Rafa Marquez.
Rafa Marquez. I would bring back Rafa Marquez.
Damn.
Like even with the good center back pairing that we have right now, Rafa Marquez he brought so much discipline and leadership to that club. That was the X factor in that bicampeonato. More than Boselli, more than anybody. Like I would bring back Rafa Marquez. Also,
I think we're good with the midfield.
He might be the best. He might be the best player ever to play for Mexico. Like you guys would have stronger opinions about such things than I would. But
no, I agree with that.
He's up there. He's up there.
What about Germán Cano?
No.
Nah. Germán Cano.
I liked him.
No.
If we could bring back 5 players, like, no, I still don't think I'd have.
Yeah, I don't think he's not in my top 5 either.
Ismael Sosa?
Yeah.
No.
He was good.
No, he was never really in his prime when he played for us. He was kind of on the tail end of his prime. But I thought
he was still like. I mean, he was
a really good. He was a very good player for us, but like, I mean, I'm going to limit it to guys who were in their prime. Well, I guess Rafa Marquez wasn't really in his prime with us either.
No, but he went back when no one wanted him, and when he came back to Liga MX, but Leon, and after that, he jumped back into Europe.
Yeah.
Not even Atlas. They didn't want him.
He was still good, though. He was still good.
Yeah.
In their prime.
Man, I'm taking Rafa. I'm taking Rafa Marquez. but I mean, there's a lot of good options there.
There's a lot of good players.
Rafa and Boselli.
I mean, what
Rafa
about
Boselli.
Tita? You know,
what about he was before my time. I never got to see him play, so
yeah.
maybe Javier can chime in. I'm sure Javier. Actually, it's a toss up between Tita and Chapo.
Yeah, I mean,
which
obviously
10 would you rather have?
Because we saw his practically his entire Leon career.
Yeah.
Probably
does
Chapo.
Gallito crack the top 5?
Gallito might crack the top 5.
What about Gullit? Are we bringing back Gullit?
Gullit. Borbano.
In his prime, like
Burbano.
for those like 2 or
Borbano,
like
2
or 3
Burbano
seasons.
and Loboa. I'd bring those 2 guys back.
Loboa.
Man.
Yeah, man. There's a lot. It's just on that Bicampeonato team though. There's just so many good choices. I'm sticking with Rafa though. I'm sticking with Rafa Marquez.
I'm going with Boselli.
I'm going with Boselli.
I'm going with Boselli.
Sauce Boy said Gullit Peña, which I would think it was rumored that a team in Saudi Arabia wanted him, and he's going to get paid millions. But I haven't heard anything from that.
But you can't drink over there, like. So maybe that's
find a way. Arturo said Dumbo Lopez, puro goleador histórico. I just saw that he also put Burbano. I didn't see his comment, but yeah, Burbano in his prime. Burbano and Loboa made a good pairing during that time.
Man, los golazos de Burbano.
Yeah, I miss him.
Yeah.
I miss him. He's just laughing. I mean, it's a good question. I think we need like a full roster of like Leon teams in the past like 10 years. We can pick out some good ones from there.
I mean, I know Louis said Rafa Marquez brought like a certain amount of discipline to the team, but you could say the same thing, even though he wasn't as good technically as Rafa Marquez, but you could say the same thing about Nacho Gonzalez. He was respected. I mean,
Nachito.
He knew how to. He wasn't the best, but he knew how to like put this team ready. He had the team ready to go. He'd get into other players' ears.
Well, and boy, did he show up in big moments.
Yeah.
Nacho.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good question. Thanks for asking that. Got our mind jogging. Quickly, preview of Jornada 2 starts off tomorrow. Puebla at home with Santos, Necaxa, and Xolos. Saturday, there's Cruz Azul, Toluca, Chivas, San Luis, and Juarez Tigres. All those games are at weird times just because of the Mexico game that I totally forgot. Quarterfinal of Gold Cup. Sunday, we have Pumas versus Mazatlan, Querétaro versus América, Monterrey versus Atlas, and our Monday night football match, which we are receiving Pachuca at home. Speaking of Pachuca, they are coming off from a draw. So obviously we'll meet face to face with Diorio and Byron in that case. How are we feeling about this game after the game we just had?
Man, I want to say we're absolutely going to bounce back and look like ourselves and have good finishing and everything and just have a great result and like a straightforward win. But nothing is ever straightforward about these matches with Pachuca. It's just the weird vibes between the teams having the same owners has always made these matchups strange. Like very unpredictable. Like there've been a lot of blowouts both ways, and then there've been a lot of really, really tight 1-0s, and there've been a bunch of draws too. Like you just never know. Usually, like both teams are usually doing pretty well when they face each other. It seems like, and you just never know. But you never know how it's going to go.
Question: if Byron or Diorio score, do they celebrate?
Yes.
They celebrate?
I don't think Diorio. Maybe no.
I don't think so.
Diorio definitely wouldn't. Diorio definitely would not, especially in León.
Byron?
I don't think they
Byron
would.
might, but I don't think he would.
I don't think they would. good until next season if they score. Go on.
By the way, on a side note, this has nothing to do with this game, but I don't know if you guys keep up with the Canelo Angulo podcast. He had Byron Castillo and Brian Rubio on there. So 2 really good podcasts. I watched the entire episodes. Really, really good. Like they get into like personal stories, the history of like their careers coming up, being poor. Like there's so many great stories.
Like a clip of the Brian Rubio one.
The Byron Castillo one is good. Like dude
Really?
starts crying. Yeah, dude starts crying when they
Where is it available?
It's on YouTube. Go on YouTube and look for Canelo Angulo's channel. It's called I can't remember the name of the podcast, but it'll show up if you search for it. Actually, you know what? I'll post the link in the chat so everybody else has it. But it's really good, and like everyone's asking like bring on other Leon players but anyways, back to the game. I don't think they would celebrate either of them because it's their first Liga MX club. So I don't know if they would celebrate. But I know they're looking for blood.
Especially the audio was such a major factor in the most important moment in club history. He's definitely not going to celebrate if he scores.
Yeah.
He will not.
But I know they're both looking for blood.
Not this season, not next season, probably not ever. I mean, Davila still doesn't celebrate when he scores against Necaxa. Like, and he wasn't even there for that long. And he didn't do anything important with that team. But like these guys take that kind of thing seriously. You know, the only one who completely eschews that kind of thing and has no respect for anybody or anything and is a complete dum-dum is JJ Macias. Like, and everyone else completely understands what that kind of thing means.
Sauce Boy said, I kind of feel like the Yodio would away, but I don't know about home. En el Canelo bueno para el podcast, pero no con el balón. So going back to what Carlos said, I guess, did you see, because I saw a snippet of the Brian Rubio clip where in Mazatlan, I always see that, you know, they didn't want him anymore. The fans were like harsh. And then whenever Leon played Mazatlan, at Mazatlan, did you hear that?
Yeah. By the way, for the record, he mentioned on the podcast that his name is pronounced Brian.
Really?
Yeah, it's Brian, not Brian, but he just says Brian because that's what everybody calls him. So if you watch it, he says it. He's like, se pronuncia Brian, güey. You know? So.
Brian. Are you sure he's not joking?
Being serious, though?
Yeah, he's being serious. I'm telling you guys, go watch it. It's so entertaining. It's a great podcast.
Brian. I'll call him Brian Rubio.
Brian Rubio. No. But obviously everybody calls him Brian, so he's just used to it now.
He's a good guy. I did see about that he was like, because he would say like all the fans would like talk so much about like crap about him and that he was on the bench that game and that I don't know who he turned over and told, and it's like, I'm going to go in and I'm going to score. And and he did.
Yeah.
And he did.
Yeah. He says the whole story on there. Yeah.
I also watched, did you see that clip? It was on Twitter. I think Canelo went to go knock on his door and was like, who's the most famous person you have on your phone? And he said, Marco Fabian. He's like, okay, call him. He like calls him.
I haven't seen that.
No, it's funny. I think I saw it on Twitter. It was like really short. He was like, ¿Qué onda, güey? Like, ¿cómo estás? Es un milagro.
Like, it's on his YouTube channel too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's on his YouTube channel.
That's cool. I feel like we don't get a ton of content like this from Liga MX players. Like,
no.
You know, like NBA players and NFL players, like other leagues, like we get a ton of this like outside content. And, you know, it can be a distraction and it can be like, okay, well, like in Canelo's case, like, bro, we know you like podcasting, you're good at it, but we still need you to be a good player for our team right now. But still, it's kind of how it's fun to have this kind of content, especially with like Leon that's not super mediático.
Yeah.
You know?
He also made a little video blog documentary type of video of La Conca Champions. So like traveling with the team, like in the bus, he's like taking videos, talking to Byron.
Oh, I need to watch that then.
Watch it. It's awesome video.
Okay, I'll watch it and I'll bring back my feedback of it next week for you. Angel Delgado said, me and all my homies hate JJ Macias.
Whatever happened to that guy?
He's still on Chivas.
But like
he was there. He was pictured there, you know, clutching his chin like this, standing in the line when the Chivas players, for some reason, were standing on the field watching Tigres accept their trophies, or accept their medals, I should say. He was there.
I mean, he's coming
he was
back
there.
from like a double injury, but oh no, who knows? Sauce Boy says need a podcast with Plátano.
That would be nice.
That'd be nice.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, let's go ahead and do our predictions so we can go ahead and go. Everybody listening, drop your predictions in the comments so we can share them on the screen.
Prediction time!
Louis, give us your prediction.
I'll be a little more conservative this time, but I am predicting a win. It's going to be a 2-1 against Pachuca. I think it's going to be kind of a messy slog of a game. These Pachuca games tend to be that way. But I think we're going to get a 2-1 at home and get back on the winning path. First 3 points of the season. It will be a major disaster if we finish this 2-game homestand with only 1 or 0 points. That would be sure, that first game in the grand scheme of things doesn't matter that much, but we have a 2-game homestand, 6 points available at home. If we don't get at least 3 of those, that's going to be a disaster for me. So we need to get this win, 2-1.
Okay, 2-1. Carlos, do you agree? Disagree?
I think we have a good bounce back game against Pachuca. But looking at their lineup, they don't look too stacked, to be honest. They're missing a couple players because they're playing in the Gold Cup. Obviously, they have ¿cómo se llama? They're 2 midfielders,
Luis Chavez and Chapo Sanchez.
Yeah, so they have those 2 players missing. Those are very important players in Pachuca's lineup. I don't know. I just don't see a way they're going to score on us. I think we'll have a nice bounce back game. I'll go 2-0 Leon.
Okay, 2-0. Louis 2-1. Carlos 2-1. Angel Delgado said 2-1. Also agreeing with Carlos. Win for Leon. Javi said 2-1 Leon. Irving J. Ramos said 3-1 for Leon. Yeah, so I'm assuming. Sauce Boy said, think this will be a scrappy game, 1-1 tie, sadly. I'm going to go ahead and say a 2-2 draw. We'll see. I mean, I hope they prove me wrong, and I hope we get a win. I think it'd be a great opportunity to get a win, especially like Carlos mentioned, without having 2 of their great players. Obviously, if the Yo-Yo starts, Leon will have some familiarity of facing the Yo-Yo, so we'll see. Arturo Ruiz said 1-1. It's a tie. I think we continue without a win. David said we have no one to score. I have it 1-1. What do you mean? We have Plátano. You don't have Fe in Plátano?
We have Plátano. We have Davila. That's just not an accurate statement.
Rubio,
if he comes in.
Brian
Rubio. Sorry. Come on, David. What are we talking about? Do you guys think we'll see Villa's debut or when? I don't know.
By Jornada 3.
I
can't remember. Someone said it. I can't remember who. But I was like, okay, so we won't see him until week 3.
Against Tigres, possibly, as a sub.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything. But, I mean, if you guys hear anything, make sure to let us know.
Okay, sounds good, guys. Well, we're going to go ahead and take off. Thank you, everybody in the chat.
Do we want to talk about Rodolfo Pizarro real quick?
Well, it's not for sure, because now I hear that possibility of him going back to Chivas. Obviously, I heard the Leon thing. I don't know where they're going to put him.
That's a lot of midfielders, man.
Yeah. I honestly...
Pizarro's got experience at a ton of different positions. That's probably his best characteristic is his versatility.
What the comments were saying, if he comes back to Leon, if he comes to Leon, it'd be this would be a great opportunity because players come back and bounce back and they do well. But I don't know. I don't have anything against Pizarro. I think in moments before, years ago, and I say years because it's been a while since I've seen him actually be consistent with the way, of his capabilities. I'm like, okay, solid, good player, but he's fallen out. I don't even know what to expect if that was an option.
He threw away his career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Arturo said he's not coming, confirmed on Tribuneros.
Yeah, there's a lot of people like saying it's not happening. I wouldn't want it to happen either.
Yeah.
Another side note, I know he's not with the team anymore, but Joe Campbell did score in the Gold Cup from the PK spot. So wish him nothing but luck.
Mexico versus Costa Rica in the Gold Cup, so we'll see what happens.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Saturday.
That's right.
Yeah. We'll see what happens Saturday. Sauce Boy, I guess the Pizarro said, no manches, we need a striker. Arturo said that's what Rodrigo Fernandez said. David said the one I heard is Cristian Tabo. He can come as a loan with an option to buy. Where is Cristian Tabo? Is he Cruz Azul?
He was with Cruz Azul, no, but he never really broke out with them.
He was always injured. I think he's one of those players that's always injured. But the good thing, and I think this rumor has a lot of merit because he played with Puebla and Larcamón for a couple years.
Yeah, I would not hate that.
I wouldn't hate that either because I remember him torching us.
I see a note from 6 hours ago. Peñarol busca el fichaje de Cristian Tabo. Cruz Azul busca darle salida. So it might not be.
Peñarol would never be able to match the kind of salary that León could offer him.
Yeah.
True. Saspo 100% he was linked to Milan and chose the money.
Who was?
Who? Yeah.
Pizarro?
What? No, I heard.
No.
Oh, no. I heard either his destination is a team in Liga MX or other MLS clubs. That's what I heard, but don't quote me on anything. Anything else? Any other side notes?
I think that's it.
I think that's it. I guess we'll see what happens with Fidel, and when he comes back to return to León.
He almost hit a goal.
1-0
Mexico right now.
Yeah. 1-0. Okay, guys. Sounds good. Thank you, everybody. We had a very active chat today. Thank you, Todd, for stopping by. Arturo, always in the comments. Ángel Delgado for jumping in as well. Javi in the comments. Sauce Boy in the comments. Did I miss somebody else? I think I missed somebody, no? Everybody in the comments, very, very active. Thank you guys David as well. Thank you guys for joining the conversation. Let us know your thoughts and everything. Hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. Don't forget, Liga MX returns tomorrow. Jornada 2. León will play on Monday Night Futbol, again at el Estadio Glorioso, recibiendo a Pachuca. So we'll definitely see if León will come back with a win. But yeah, guys, thank you guys so much for joining us this podcast. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Everybody, shout out to everybody on Periscope and on YouTube. And we'll see you guys next week on another episode of the Lions Den Podcast.